Tonight's session is a powerful one. We are going to talk about three invisible blocks that silently kill your career growth, even if you are smart, capable, and doing everything right.
These are obviously not obvious. That is why they are dangerous. Let's uncover them. Then I will share something special that I've created to help you break through something that's launching in this month.
That's amazing. In fact, let's start with the big one. And the big one is fear of change. Now, you are in a role that pays you decently. You know your team, you know the system, you know the processes. The predictability is so high that it really feels very safe. But inside, you are restless. It's not bad enough to leave, but it's not great enough to stay.
Well, that's how fear of change operates, right? It tells you that stability is safer than growth. It whispers, what if you fail? It shows you the worst possible scenarios, never the best case ones. There's a client of mine who was professionally qualified but stayed in the same company with little growths happening for entire 10 years. Every year she wanted to switch. And when is the desire for switching? It's always when there is appraisal
Appraisal!
time. So every year she would want to switch, and every year she would convince herself to stay. Reasons are different for different people. For some, it could be EMIs. For some, it could be the kids, the school. For some, it could be the people know me. I know my top management. But they're all, if I move from here, what if things go wrong? What if things don't fall in place? But obviously, eventually she burnt out, not from overwork, but from her under fulfillment.
So, what change are you resisting? I want all of you to write down in the chat box, or people who are listening, you can write down this very important question. What change are you resisting that your future self needs you to make?
That's a very wonderful question because it's helping you focus towards your future self. Who is this future self? It is that person who will help you reach your career aspirations.
So true. So let us give you a few strategies to overcome this one particular thing. Okay. First, we need to do a mindset shift, which means you need to encourage a growth mindset rather than living in a fixed mindset. It is the fixed mindset, it always shows you know, things worse than it is, than actually it is. And if it is in a growth mindset, it will show you better than it is. So, what do you need to do? You need to start embracing change because one thing is constant, that is change. As now we are discussing here, I'm sure some part of the world, some new technology has come, which is going to come to you very soon. So, change is something which it is going to happen. If you embrace it in a way that it becomes an opportunity for you to learn and develop. That's the first shift. Second thing I feel we need to take small baby steps instead of taking some huge step and you feel overwhelmed. Break down changes into manageable steps. What happens when you do this? You actually reduce your anxiety. You don't feel overwhelmed. You feel that okay, I know I can do this. And then third is support system. Now this is something has been a strongest strength. That's a support system. We have a very strong support system in the form of mentors, coaches, so that these people can they can gain confidence from them by navigating the change that you need to go through. That's what it is important to have a support system.
So, like Dheeraj said, it's really very crucial because you know what? The fear of changing, the first thing that happens is you lose your confidence. So, when you have these mentors and coaches around you, they help you gain confidence in yourself. They help you gain confidence to take the next step. And that is why that change becomes easy because there is a support system to navigate that change. Now, let's talk about the second block. The second block is lack of clarity. Now, this isn't about not knowing what you don't want. Most professionals, if I ask them in 5 seconds, they can tell us what they don't want, what they're exhausted of, what they're tired, what's making them frustrated. But when we ask them, what do you really want instead? There's a pause. And that silence could last for as good as 30 seconds, 1 minute. And then they'll say, oh, I didn't think about this. So here is what lack of clarity sounds like. First, I want to create more impact, but I don't know what that looks like. Second one, I'm capable of more. I know I can do much more, but I don't know where to begin. Third one could be, I don't know, I should pivot. So pivot could be from one role to a different role, from one industry to a different industry,
So true.
from an employee to an entrepreneur. It could be any kind of transitions. Or should I stay where I am and grow where I am? Or probably exit entirely and do something which I'm truly passionate about. If you have experienced these kind of voices in your head, then that is what is lack of clarity.
And believe me, these voices, they're very dangerous. I'll tell you why this is so dangerous. First, you can't design a career that you can't define it. Okay, it's like, I don't know, I'm sure a lot of people drive the car here, and if you drive a car where there's fog around you, okay, so no matter you have the best car on the planet, let's be Ferrari or anything, but because there is a fog, you can't drive more than 5 kilometers per hour because you're not able to see anything. And then the moment you get over that ghat area or that fog area, and then the moment the fog is over, it's so clear, and there comes 120 speed going on there. That is why, and it is so important that if you don't know, then there is always a confusion to even design your career. And I feel another reason why it's dangerous, because when you're unclear, now what do? You default to inaction, which means you don't take any action, you don't take step because you're not sure where you want to go, you don't have any idea, or you stay trapped in the reactive decisions.
So when something is going to happen, I'm going to react,
Yeah.
but I'm not taking decisions proactively. So when this is happening, obviously what you need to do is, first thing, you need some reflection tools. So you have to reach out to someone whom you know. You have to figure out some tools which can help you reflect what is that you're truly wanting. What is that you want to become? Where do you want to reach? Maybe 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 years down the line. When you start doing these reflection exercises, that is where clarity begins. Then, of course, like the previous one, feedback from your coaches or your mentors. And third would be a framework to assess your alignment, your energy zones to your next moves. So what you're really aligned in terms of your values, your strengths, then the energy zones, which we all know are different with different people, and where I'm going to go. If all this you have as a framework, it's so easy to really move on. So you know what? Clarity brings a lot of power with it. And when we work towards this exercise in our coaching, believe me, it works so beautifully. I would like to cite a few examples here of my clients. I remember one of my clients, he came to me for career growth. I, of course, then started coaching his wife. And when both of them came together, the only thing that they were seeking was financial freedom. Why? Because they wanted something much different out of their lives. But they couldn't because they didn't have enough money that could take care of their future needs. 2 children growing up, their education, and all the things that would fall with that. But because we could define their goal of financial freedom, then we could devise a plan where they had these skill sets. And fortunately, the couple had skill set which helped them move to a different country where the currency is much better, the pay is much better, life is more beautiful, infrastructure is great, and they moved on. Both of them with their family could move on to a new country, and they are on the path of their dream life. Such great is the power when it comes to gaining clarity on what you want next. So what is this clarity all about? It's about clarity on your skill sets. We all have different skill sets, and we know that there are some different skill sets which you need to work upon, which you need to grow, because you know what's happening in your industry. And if you don't know, believe me, you're not in the right zone. You have to go out, reach out to your mentors and coaches, and figure out what you need to develop on so that you can move ahead. Then, of course, the strengths. When you figure out that these are the skill sets I have, these are my strengths, but I'm stuck in this career which I'm not happy, you can move. So I have one of my clients who actually moved from one space, one function to another function in the same organization because her skill set and strengths align to that career. And obviously, after that, she thrived in her career.
In fact, the question is, you need to ask this question to yourself: what are you chasing? Because we are all chasing something on the morning to night, morning to night. What are you chasing? And is it really aligned with who you are becoming? These are very important. Let's say I'm chasing A, B, C, D, E, and I'm becoming F, G, H, I, J. Then it's not going to help you to achieve towards what you're chasing. So it's so important. So we can use certain strategies again here, okay, on this area.
Before we could move to strategy, because you just specified, I could give another example. So, for example, you're chasing obviously financial growth, growth in your career, but the job that you are into demands energy, going out there, meeting people, networking, relationships, facing rejections. You know the career I'm talking about, right? Sales. But you're an introvert. It doesn't work with you. And at the end of the day, each day you're frustrated, you're angry, you're resentful, or you could become anxious, overwhelmed, and that is spoiling your mental health. So if you're chasing that career and that is not aligned with who you are, end of the day, you become a person which you start resenting. And that's not the place that we want to go, right? Your career has to be aligned with who you want to become. So if you want to become a person which everyone likes, which is cheerful, joyful, passionate, energetic, your career goals, the goals that you're chasing, have to align with that personality of yours.
In fact, let's give us some strategies to you to overcome this clarity part, okay? First thing, what you need to do is goal setting.
Absolutely.
This is so important. Use SMART goals to define clear career objectives. I'll again repeat, clear career objectives. Because if you don't have clear cut objectives, then you're just like in that fog and you don't know, and you're just driving and you're reaching nowhere and you're getting frustrated. What's happening with me? And that's why you need to have smart, clear-cut, achievable goals. That's number one. Number two, self-reflection. Now that's something which both of us have a very strong habit of doing. We regularly assess ourselves, in the sense we assess our personal values, we assess our strengths, and also interest to ensure that it is aligning with your career goals. So for example, let's say your topmost value is not matching with your career goals, then you will never be able to let's say your topmost value is integrity, and you are working in a place where you are forced to tell something which is not matching with your integrity, and then you feel miserable. Now that's not going to help you. So that is why it's so important that you keep reflecting that, are my values aligning with my goals? Are my strengths aligning with my goals? And the third is vision board. This is something, I don't have my phone, otherwise I showed you on my phone, on my laptop in our room. We have a vision board that we create. So we need to create a visual representation of your career aspiration to maintain focus and motivation.
So once you have the vision board, I'm sure all of you have heard this so many times. I could do this because I manifested it.
Yes.
What can you manifest if you can't see it, right? That is why it's so damn important to get clear, put that on your vision board, visualize that, and that's where you manifest your dream.
In fact, one thing to just add on vision board is concerned. This is something which we've been doing for years. Morning, the first thing When I get up, I do my visualization. And night when I go to sleep, the time when I'm actually sleeping, I start doing the visualization so that when I'm going in my subconscious mind, I'm going with this wonderful visualization of the life that I want to create. And that's how it get manifested. Because when you get up in the morning, your subconscious mind is just active and you put it, and when you go to sleep, you're again going back into your subconscious mind. And that's what you can do when it comes to visualization. There's an additional tip I thought I can give you.
So, guys, all of you who are listening there, I would want you to write to us in the comment section the two things that we spoke about. The first block, the block of fear of change. Have you ever been there, and how did you really fight it? Or are you going through some fear currently? If you want to reach out and seek help, you can write to us and we can help you to overcome the fear that you're feeling when you're wanting to navigate your career to something new which would excite you and keep you on the path of growth.
Sure.
So either it was fear of change, or the second block which we spoke about, lack of clarity. I think that is where the most important person in your life can be your coach.
Yes.
Because the coach helps you get that clarity out of life. You know why? Because when it is my life, I'm so emotionally biased towards myself that I can't see things clearly. But when I have a coach pointing out certain things about me and my life and saying that this is how it can work, or this is the direction you need to take by listening to you, that is where the clarity starts beginning. And like Dheeraj was giving that example of driving in the fog, and all of a sudden the fog gets clear. And from the speed of 20 to 30, you're flying at the speed of 100, 120 in your growth. Finally, the last block is a block about networking challenges. It's so relevant for professionals in midlife and especially relevant for women. But guys, here is the truth. Growth doesn't happen in isolation. Yet most professionals stop building their network after their early 30s. You know why? Because
they generally, if you see, they get caught up in delivery, operations, life responsibility. And when it's finally time to seek new opportunities or navigate in, they find themselves alone. Now, this is not an ordinary problem. This is a huge problem. Now, I want to do this, but nobody's there with me. Nobody's understanding me. Nobody's directing me. Nobody's guiding me. That is where many a time, though you want to, but because you're all alone, you're not able to do this. So, for example, let me make it clear, networking is not about, first, just about job leads. You can't just network with someone and say, do you have a job? And after that, you're not interested in that person.
I would want to hear from you. How many of you have really done that? You've gone to LinkedIn, reach out to your network, told him, this is my CV, these are my skill sets. Do you have a job opportunity?
And the story is over. That person is going to not react because it doesn't work like this. That's not what networking is all about. Second, random coffee chat. You just randomly meet someone, have a coffee chat, and then, it's like in Hindi says, Raat gayi, baat gayi. It doesn't work like this. It absolutely doesn't work like this. And third thing, networking is not about attending events once in a while. आज मूड आ गया, चलो यार एक इवेंट में जाके आता हूँ. कभी आए थे 2 साल बाद. It doesn't work like this. So these are the things networking is not. But what networking is all about?
So networking is all about first strategic visibility. What do you mean by strategic visibility? You need to be seen in the right places so that the right opportunities walk to you. So we all in our companies have stakeholders. We all in our company have top management. We all in our company have the board. Am I being known there, recognized there, seen there? That is strategic visibility. So am I in the circles where decisions are being made? Am I in that circles who can decide to place you in the path of growth? If I'm not visible there, believe me, you will be doing great job. You will be performing. You would be a productive person. but you're not getting half of what you are deserving. That is why it's important to create strategic visibility. Second one is building social capital over time. It's also spoken in personal life. If you talk about, it's told that if you want to know how rich you are, count the number of friends.
Friends.
Similarly, in your professional life, it's about building the social capital.
Yes.
How many people in your professional world are a part of your social circle? Social circle just doesn't mean only coffee time or meeting on occasions or festivals. It's not about that. It's about reaching out to each other for the trends, for what's happening in your field, the latest techniques and tools, how people are growing, they're sharing their success stories. When this kind of network is around you, you by default are on the path of growth. You by default are looking for opportunities. You by default are giving opportunities to others. And by default, you have people sharing those opportunities with you. And that leads to the third part. Networking is asking for support and offering value.
Yes.
Now, people want to ask for support. First, do they hesitate in asking support itself? So that's the first challenge. And if they go to ask for support, they forget they also have to offer back something. What is the value that you can add? And believe me, this is what I've done with my clients. They can offer value to people above them, below them, and with them. Value is something which you have to think and work towards. Each one of us can do it. It's all about really spending your time and energy on it.
And let me tell you, it matters. There's a lot of people who be thinking, "अरे ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता है, ये बस ऐसे ही बोल रहे." No, it matters. Networking matters, and I'll tell you why it matters. Okay, your name should be in the room that you are not in. That's important. Like for example, there's a management sitting, board decision member sitting, and when your name, their discussion is happening about you when you are not in the room. That's where people know you. So they are always going to hire a person, promote a person, or recommend a person whom they know, they've heard about. But if they don't know, your name is not there, your name is not in the room, it's not happening. Second, people should think of you when a new role or a project are discussed. Okay, let us give it to Rajesh, let us give it to this one, let us give it to that one, because they know you, you're connected. So the moment there is a new role, a project come, your name should be there. And then network helps you to see possibilities. That's something you would have never uncovered on your own.
Well, to cite you some beautiful examples of my existing clients over these 12 years that we have been coaching. So one of my client, I remember, could sail through corporate politics as she had built a good relation with many of her stakeholders in her company. And in the same situation in her previous job, she was laid off. You know why? Because that time she didn't know and she didn't believe in building relationships.
Yes.
She used to just go there, focused, deliver her work, give her best, and come back. She never looked who was sitting on the next chair or who was sitting in front of her or who was sitting beyond the cabins. But you know what? When you are like this, you're in isolation. And whenever there is something of this kind that happens, you find yourself lonely. And the damage that happens that time, it's a permanent damage. It takes you a lot of time, believe me, to recover from there. I have been in that stage in my earlier years of my career. I did something, I couldn't work on it because I didn't have a support system, someone who could fight for me, be there with me, and help me navigate that tough situation. So, guys, that's my first example. The second example, of course, which we were talking about, getting referred to amazing job opportunities in new organization. If you have such a beautiful circle in your existing company, people keep moving. They keep changing jobs. They keep moving to new organizations. And where they go, they'll obviously want their known circle. So you're going to be the first person to be referred in that new company. In fact, Dheeraj was sharing that time in his previous job that how that leader moved and he took how many people with him?
230 people one go. He was a sales head and he moved into a different company. 230 people went within the entire team. went there. Now that is the power of networking. Okay.
There's another one example I would love to share here is, there's a client of mine, that entire vertical in the function that she was working, the entire vertical got laid off. Today, companies, MNCs, they don't have the same culture that we have in the organizations that India has. Here still there are, it's not that easy. People don't lay off people. But MNCs, it's so damn, I don't get that word, what they call, revamping. It's not the terminology used, but something similar. And in that revamping, they just lay off people. So our entire vertical got laid off. But because she was so good in networking, she used to go out in these events, she was visible, she got a new opportunity in the same organization because she had this network around her.
Absolutely. I'll give you one more client since the time is less, but one of my clients, he was having a get together happening on the company where the CEO and the chairperson, it's a multi-billion-dollar company, were coming. So what we designed as a strategy that, when they say that if you have anything to ask, I had told him each one of them to ask one question. And the question was not related to work, question was related to their career, that the CEO of the company is just 45 and he's the CEO, and his MD, she's a young lady and she's the chairperson of the company. So he asked certain questions and both said, thank you very much. This is such a wonderful question. I'm sure it's not going to help you, but it's going to help everybody. And during the gala dinner, they both actually walked up to him one by one. They said, thank you so much once again. And I think we should meet sometime. And this is 3 months back. And recently he had a one-on-one session with them. And now he knows the CEO and the chairperson personally. Now that's the power. When you get opportunities, you need to do.
So how many times you have missed this opportunity because you hesitated,
sitting
at the table? What if I sound foolish? What if people respond in a way that I wouldn't be happy? What if people look up to me and say, who asked you to ask this question? What if it turns out wrong? Again, fear, right? Fear of failure, fear of being judged, and you miss on that opportunity. So, like Dheeraj put up questions, here is a question for me, from me to you on networking. When was the last time you intentionally reached out to someone in your field or your industry to ask for help and to also go there to add value? I will again ask this. When was the last time you intentionally reached out to someone in your field, not only to just ask for help, but also to add value? So here are certain strategies that can help you overcome the hesitation and go out and network. First one is attend industry events, workshops, seminars to meet new people and expand your network. Online, offline, both ways it really works. But like Dheeraj mentioned earlier, right? It has to be a continuous effort. Second one is online networking, like platforms of LinkedIn, where you can connect with professionals and stay updated on industry trend. And third one is relationship building. Focus on building genuine relationships rather than transactional connections. Follow up and maintain regular communication with all these contacts.
So there's a good news for all of you. These 3 invisible blocks that you have, fear of change, lack of clarity, and networking gaps, are not permanent, but they won't solve themselves.
And that is why I have written a book that's deeply personal, actionable, and designed to help mid-career professionals like you to get unstuck, reclaim your growth, and design a career you actually want.
In fact, we would be officially launching her new book in this month only, which is going to serve you as a guide to have breakthrough in your stagnation and thrive in your career in any stage of life. This book is just not a theory. It's filled with real stories, coaching framework, self-reflection prompts, and tools you can apply immediately.
So guys, stay tuned for further details and see you again next week on Friday at 9 p.m.
on How to Ace Your Career.